Right, Stephen Bailey, here we are. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Always welcome at Gaydio HQ. I know you're not too far away, so yeah. Let's talk about Manchester Pride this year. You've got the we've got the new slogan, as it were. We've got the new campaign from Manchester Pride. I choose kindness is the tagline here. Why have you chosen to back this campaign?
I just saw it and I thought, I think over the past couple of years, like, take away everything about homophobia and hate crimes. I just thought over the last few years, everyone feels a bit on edge. And I think everyone's run out of patience. You can get into a car parking space without getting tooted at. And I just think we all need to just have a little bit of a reset. And then in particular with Manchester Pride, I choose kindness. You know, the stats speak for themselves. Hate crimes have risen. So that's not a feeling, that's a fact. And, you know, more than ever, I feel like I grace through this world. You know, I'm 35 now, and I feel like I grace through the first 30 years not experiencing homophobia. Like, obviously, there was the odd slur in school, but I think that was more the 90s and how we use language rather than actual intended homophobia.
Yeah.
Whereas the last 12 months, 2 years, like, the amount of times me and my partner have been hurled abuse at in the street. And I think people think, I don't know, I think in the UK, because of like hashtag be kind and, you know, I love the gays, my best friend's gay.
Love is love.
Gay,
yeah.
Love is love. All these things that we put on social media for the likes, I don't necessarily think we practice and we live. And I don't know why it's risen, but you know, me and my boyfriend have been walking through the streets in Manchester, in London. I mean, we were walking through Green Park in London, and we got chased down into the tube.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and I've never experienced it at all in my life, and I didn't. So I never really, you know, you read the stories, you educate yourself about LGBT history, but I don't think you understand what it feels like until it happens to you. And I was like, you know, when we got chased in London, it really depressed me. We had it, especially that one. We had it there, and then it was like a week later we experienced it just walking through the street where we had, you know, a slur hurled at us. And it really pushed me into a bit of a depression because I was like, oh my God, on top of just the difficulties of navigating the world, whether that be finances, worried about a family member going in for an operation, your boiler broke, the things we all have to navigate that sometimes get heavy, the worries about work, the worries about your relationship, the worries about your friendships. Then to add on top of that, the fact that it's quite dangerous just to be you, not because of how anything you've done, just because you're existing. Yeah. I was like, ugh.
So you've said about before with the like your experience growing up as a gay man, a member of the LGBTQ plus community, you know, having the odd slur thrown at you, to now walking down the street. You've spoken before about being scared to hold hands. Is that what happened in the incidents that you've suffered where, you know, have you been holding hands with your partner, or is it just, you know, you've been targeted for how you carry yourself or how you present yourself?
It's really interesting. Kind of all of the above has happened recently, which I've never experienced. And when I say about like the slurs as a kid, I just mean like how we use language, like how the word gay was just used to say something was rubbish. I think that was very the 90s. I think that was a reflection of that time. I don't think it was people trying to abuse me.
It was so 2003, darling.
It was so... Maybe, I don't want to say too much, but I think it was even earlier. But we'll go with 2003. That's when I was in school. And but more recently, it has been the thing of going, you know, me and my partner were holding hands in the street. That's when we got chased. You know, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And there was even a time when I was going to the Attitude Awards and I decided, I'm going to get the tube. I'm not sitting in rush hour.
Yeah.
And I had on my...
Because why not? You're a gay man. You've got places to be.
I've got places to be. We move quicker than straight people. But it was like, all I had on was like, I mean, you shouldn't even have to justify it, but I had on a burgundy suit and then like this, I call it a neck piece. Don't really know. It's just something a bit flamboyant.
Little neckerchief, little necktie, cravat sort of vibe.
Exactly that vibe.
Yeah.
And like that got me shouted at as well. And you're going, like, I don't. It's clothing.
Yeah.
It is clothing,
yeah,
and
people
it
need to calm down.
It actually doesn't matter if I'm wearing a dress because, as we know, clothing has no gender.
Yeah.
It is fabric.
But it does for a lot of the wider society, doesn't it, who haven't sort of cottoned onto it. You know, we've always said LGBTQ people, you know, we're a little bit ahead on some trends and things like that. So you think it's got worse in recent years? Do you think? So you, for example, have, you know, been the victim of, you know, being chased and things like that and verbally abused. Have you been able to report it, and do you think it's easier, or do you think more people are reporting it now and feeling more comfortable to report it now?
It's definitely easy to report. I mean, I just went on a website. I just Googled how to report a hate crime, click the link, and hope it went to the right place. So it is easy to report. I think that's doing it. I think also, I wonder if we're just all a bit fed up. Like, I can only talk from my experience. But I wonder if we're all just a bit more fed up. Maybe we're all a bit more educated as well, being like, you know, and maybe some of us are actioning what we're saying. So where people say, stand up against hate, report hate crimes, rather than just going, all right, like hashtag choose love. Like, maybe we're actually doing it now.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, this tagline here, I choose kindness, from Manchester Pride, because we're talking about hate crimes as well. Do you think it has multiple meanings and multiple messages, I choose kindness? Because let's be honest, the very sort of on standalone words, this could mean very different things to a great many different people. Are we saying I choose kindness to people outside our LGBTQ plus community? Are we saying it to people within? Do you think that there's one target for this message, or do you think it should mean many things to different people?
I think it should mean many things for different people. I think the good thing about it is going, yes, Manchester Pride is probably coming at it from a very specific place of being like hate crimes against LGBTQ plus people. But at the same time, I think it's just a good idea. It's a good 3 words just to go through your day with. Like, and it doesn't seem difficult, because my thing about, like, you know, hate crimes against LGBT people, I just feel like it literally, a gay couple walking down the streets holding hands, a gay man wearing a dress, whatever it is that you're seeing, that you're saying, that you're feeling like you need to say something horrible about, you don't need to say it. It literally has no impact on your life. And that's what baffles me. Because, you know, like, just to really simplify it, is going, do you know if someone doesn't like a TV show and they're tweeting all over Twitter how terrible this TV show is, just turn it over. Like, you don't have to watch anything you don't want to watch, and you don't have to see anything you don't have to see. And it's like, you know, all right, maybe you don't want to accept us, but you don't have to abuse us.
Yeah. Manchester Pride have found that hate crimes based on sexual orientation and gender identity across the UK alone have risen dramatically in the last year. What do you think is the key reason, if you're going to take away one reason for this happening in recent years? Because you're meant to think that things are getting better, but if the situation is polarizing and you're getting more people who are being accepted, but an equal amount of people who are on the opposite end of the spectrum, what do you think is the one thing that we should be looking at for the reason why? You can be as honest as you like with this.
Ooh, that is a good question. I wonder if, I think one, we're just divided. Anyway, I think we've come out of the pandemic more divided.
What's dividing us?
I think it's all different things. I think people feel like by allowing LGBTQ people rights, equality, safety, they feel like they're losing something. And so maybe begrudge it.
Do you think there are people or organisations that are driving this division?
Maybe.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I mean,
nudge.
You can be as honest as you like.
I don't.
We need to get to the bottom of this.
Well, I don't know how to fix it, but I don't think the government, their behaviour is helping. You know, I think there is on record things that, I know Boris Johnson is no longer Prime Minister, but he was up until recently, where that he was saying, where it's like, you know, if you lead by example. So if you see that Prime Minister is saying things and he thinks it's okay to say things, then any moron that already has that little bit of a view within them thinks it's okay to say as well.
Yeah, that's right. I think a lot of people, it starts at top. A lot of people look to people for direction, whether that's media, whether that is leaders and figures that we're meant to look for direction from. Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. And that's what a lot of other people are saying as well.
And, sorry to interrupt, I think there's no nuance anymore. So where people go, it's this or that. So because gay people have rights, straight people are losing rights. Like, I think it's like that. And you see it on a lot of TV shows. There is debates where you're one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so you miss nuance. And I also think the way social media is going doesn't help, because I think we're all getting stuck in our echo chambers. So like when I say to a friend, go like, oh, me and my partner got chased in London, they go, well, you wouldn't expect that to happen in London. No, like, there's almost like a denial that it could possibly happen, because I live in London and I'm so metropolitan, and it's like
everyone's in their own little world.
Everyone wants to hear yes. So all the homophobes are surrounded by other homophobes that are like, yeah, gays are wrong. Drop me into a nice pub in I don't know. I also experienced homophobia in Barnsley, so let's say a pub in Barnsley.
Let's do Barnsley.
Like, let's go there. Because in Barnsley, I was actually on stage and I said, so hard having the conversation because you don't want to put the words out there, but then it's like, how do you tell the story? Do you know what I mean? So I was on stage and I said, where my gays at? And, oh no, that was Glasgow. I've experienced a lot when you think about it recently. I said in Barnsley, guess what I used to do for a living? And this guy just went, you were a effing F.
Oh, right. Okay.
Word.
Yeah. The F's, the classic F slur.
The double F's.
Yeah. The two F's.
And you go, and what made me laugh about it? Well, it didn't make me laugh, actually. It made me really sad. Everyone just stopped, went quiet. I'm stood on the stage and it's like, oh, you think I've got to deal with this? You've got two bouncers. God knows why they're employed, because they didn't do anything. They were like, well, we have a 3-chance policy here. And it's like, but not for hate.
No.
Like, a 3-chance policy if someone's a bit drunk and he's going like, I like your top, I like your top. Like, but not for that. And I said to her, I just stood there silently and I said, oh, you think I'm getting paid enough to deal with abuse? That's not my job. That's why we have bouncers. And I just stood there in silence until someone got the wits to move him out.
Mm-hmm. With that, so you're talking about hate that we get from outside the LGBTQ plus community. What do you think about that, the phrase "I choose kindness" and what LGBTQ people might want to take from that? So, you know, sort of kindness within our own community.
Well, I do think, you know, like we were saying earlier, the fish rots from the head down. I also think to impact some sort of change, you have to start with you. Are you doing it? And then feed it out, you know, like, could we choose to be a bit less judgy? Yes, you know, this homophobia with...
What, gays being judgy? Huh?
I mean...
How dare you?
But, do you know what I mean? It's going like, I remember like going out on the scene and people being like, you're a bit too camp for me, or you're a bit too femme. Oh my God.
Oh, I've had that.
Goodness. And it's stuff like that where I feel like, guys, if we can't even do it, how can you expect anyone else to do it?
Yeah, it's giving RuPaul. If you can't love yourself, how can you love anybody else, isn't it? Finally, what do you hope will be achieved by making such a visible stand against hate and discrimination as part of this campaign, I Choose Kindness from Manchester Pride?
I just hope people get to grips with it, really, because I think the basics is actually, by saying I choose kindness and backing this campaign, we're actually asking you to do nothing except be a decent human. So it's like, choose how you want to walk through life, is just be a decent human, going, you know, if you don't like something, you don't have to comment on it. Just like, I might not like your shoes, Sandra, but I'm not going to comment on it. Do you know, I think it's just...
You hear that, Sandra?
Yeah. I think it's just stuff like that. I think, you know, actually by saying I choose kindness, we're not asking for a lot. We're just saying, can you not be a bad guy? Can you not abuse me in the street? Can you keep your opinions? Like, it's not asking for anything. And I think sometimes when people see campaigns, they're often like, oh, here we go. And it's like, actually, there's no here we go with this. It's just shut your face. That's all it is. It's like, we don't care. Like, just keep your opinions to yourself. I don't think we're asking a lot by saying I choose kindness. And if you don't choose kindness, what do you choose?
Exactly. And that's something that you have to reconcile with yourself, I think. It's very much the write out the angry email, let it sit. And if you're still that bothered about it, then you have to ask yourself why before you send it.
And I think a lot of people believe in, say, a higher power, be that universe or a religion or da-da-da. And whether it is the universe or a religion, don't all these people teach you about love and teach you about kindness? So, Look at that, sweetheart.
And on that, though, I think we'll leave that there. Thank you so much, Stephen. It's been a pleasure chatting to you. I choose kindness this year.
Do you?
I do. I do. I promise.
Do
I promise
you?
I will.
I'll be keeping an eye on you when I'm in the gay village, and I'll be replaying this to you.
Okay, I'll hold you to that. You can hold me to that. Thank you.
Thanks.